I was in the kitchen preparing Sunday dinner when I heard my daughter, Patricia Hayes, talking in the living room. She was on the phone with someone. The tone was pure irritation, the same one she used when she complained about overdue bills. But this time, the subject was me. This old woman is nothing but trouble. I can't stand having her here at the house anymore. You wouldn't believe how much she gets in the way of everything. Tyrone has said 1,000 times he wants her out for good. I felt my hands start to tremble out of control. The wooden spoon I was holding clattered to the floor with a dull thud. I stood there, completely unable to move, as my heart pounded in my chest. Patricia kept talking on the phone, oblivious to the deep pain every single word was causing me. I, Doris Thames, who raised that girl alone after her father walked out on us when she was only 3 years old. I, who worked 3 jobs at the same time to pay for her college education. I, who spent sleepless nights praying at her bedside when she was sick. Now I was just that old woman who only causes problems. I didn't say anything to anyone. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I retreated to my room in the back of the house in absolute silence. I closed the door softly so as not to make a sound and knelt by the bed. Lord, give me the strength to understand what is happening to me. Show me the path I need to follow. I cried quietly, muffling my sobs in the pillow, afraid that someone would hear me and make more jokes about the weeping old lady. That night, when everyone was asleep, I looked out my window and saw my whole life pass before my eyes. I'd worked as a housekeeper, a cook, a seamstress, a nanny, everything so that Patricia could have a better future than mine. And now, at 68 years old, I realized I had become a burden in the house that I, myself, bought with my own sweat. But what they didn't know was that everything was about to change. I got up early on Monday, as always. I prepared breakfast for the whole family, grits for Tyrone, a thick fruit smoothie for Patricia, and fluffy buttermilk pancakes for Sophia, my 12-year-old granddaughter. Everything was served with a smile that was getting harder to maintain every day. Patricia came downstairs looking at her phone. As usual, she didn't even look up when I put the plate in front of her. "Mom, this smoothie is too thick. Can't you get it right even once?" I swallowed and took a deep breath. "I'm sorry, baby. I'll add more milk. Forget it, I don't have time." She grabbed her purse and left without saying goodbye. Tyrone followed her without a word. Not a good morning, not a thank you for the meal, nothing. Just the sound of the front door slamming shut. Sophia stayed for a moment longer, looking at me with those big eyes that reminded me so much of Patricia when she was little. "Are you okay, Grandma?" I smiled, stroking her shiny black hair. "Of course I am, my love. Go on, or you'll be late for school." The girl hugged me tight before leaving. That hug was the only thing that kept me standing that day. After everyone was gone, I sat at the empty kitchen table and looked around. This house. So many memories. I bought it 30 years ago when I was still working at a textile plant. I saved every dollar I could. I ate simple meals to save up for the down payment. I worked double shifts on the weekends. All to have a place of my own, a place where Patricia could grow up safe. The walls still had the marks from when she was small. Right there, by the kitchen entrance, pencil marks measuring her height every birthday. Patricia, 5 years old. Patricia, 7 years old. Patricia, 10 years old. I ran my fingers over those faded marks and felt myself break inside. How did we get here? At what point did my daughter stop seeing me as her mother and start seeing me as an obstruction? The phone rang. It was Esther Evans, my lifelong friend. "Doris, how are you doing? Want to meet for coffee this afternoon?" I hesitated for a moment. I didn't want to worry her, but Esther knew me better than anyone. "Sure, friend. I'll meet you at our regular spot." That afternoon, when I sat across from her at our usual table by the window, I couldn't hold it in anymore. Everything came out. I told her what I'd heard, how they treated me, how I felt invisible in my own home. Esther took my hands firmly. Her eyes were filled with tears. "Oh, Doris, I can't believe Patricia is doing this to you after everything you sacrificed for her." "Maybe it's my fault, Esther. Maybe I spoiled her too much. I gave her everything, and now she doesn't value anything." Don't you dare say that. You were an exemplary mother. The problem isn't you. The problem is that she forgot where she came from. I drank my coffee in silence, feeling the warmth of the cup in my cold hands. I don't know what to do, Esther. I don't feel welcome in my own house anymore. My friend leaned forward, lowering her voice. Doris, is that house still in your name? Yes. When Patricia married Tyrone 15 years ago, I put her name on the deed too, but I'm still the principal owner. Esther looked at me with an intensity I hadn't seen before. Then you have options, friend. You have more power than you realize. Those words kept spinning in my head all the way back home. Options. What options did a 68-year-old woman who had spent her whole life giving everything to her family have? When I arrived home, the door was slightly ajar. Inside, I heard raised voices. Patricia was arguing with Tyrone in the living room. I'm telling you, I can't take it anymore. My mother is here all day, meddling in everything, asking annoying questions. I know, baby, but we can't just kick her out. What will people say? I don't care what people say. I want my space. I want my house back. I stood at the entrance, listening to every heartbreaking word. Tyrone continued, Look, my mother, Brenda, says she knows a very nice assisted living facility on the other side of town. We could go see it this weekend. An assisted living facility. They wanted to put me in a home after everything I had done, after giving them this house, after cooking, cleaning, and taking care of Sophia when they went out. They wanted to get rid of me like I was trash. I walked into the living room. Both fell silent immediately with those unmistakable guilty looks. Hi, Mom, Patricia said with a forced, cheerful voice. How was your time with Esther? Fine. My voice came out calmer than I expected. I overheard you talking about the facility. The silence was deafening. Patricia looked at Tyrone, then back at me. Mom, well, we thought maybe you'd be more comfortable in a place where there are people your age, where they can take better care of you. Care? Who takes care of me here? I'm the one who takes care of everybody. I cook, I clean, I look after my grandbaby. What more do you want me to do? Tyrone got up from the sofa with that condescending attitude he always used with me. Doris, you have to understand. You're getting old. You need to rest. Stop working so hard. At the facility, you'd have everything. Meals, doctors, activities with people your age. This is my house, Tyrone. I bought it with my money. Patricia came closer, putting on that sweet girl face that didn't fool me anymore. Mom, nobody is saying it's not your house, but living here is causing you stress. You look tired all the time. We just want what's best for you. What's best for me, I repeated, tasting the lie. You mean, what's best for you? What's best to have the house free without the annoying old woman? Mom, don't be dramatic, Patricia raised her voice, always making a huge drama out of everything. That's why it's so hard to talk to you. I turned around and went up to my room. I locked the door for the first time in years. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked around this small room at the back of the house, the room I had accepted so they could have the bigger bedrooms, the room where I had cried so many nights in silence. On the wall, there was an old photo of Patricia when she was 5 years old. We were in a park, just the two of us. She was wearing a yellow dress that I had sewn myself. She was smiling, holding me tight. That little girl loved me. That little girl needed me. Where did that child go? I took the photo and put it in my drawer. I couldn't keep looking at the past. I had to think about the present, about my future. I didn't eat dinner with them that night. I stayed in my room, listening to their laughter from downstairs. Brenda Miller, Tyrone's mother, had come for dinner. I heard her shrill voice from my room. Oh, Patricia, you're so lucky to have this nice house. I always said Tyrone deserved the best. Thank you, Mom. Though sometimes it's hard to keep everything in order with, well, you know. Oh, yes, your mother, poor thing. But don't worry, honey, we'll find a solution. My sister works at a very decent facility. I can get you a discount. They were talking about me as if I no longer existed, as if I were already dead, and they just needed to make the funeral arrangements. I knelt by the bed and prayed like I hadn't prayed in years. Lord, you who are the ultimate mother, you who know what it is to love a child more than your own life, help me, show me what to do, give me the strength I need. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. I was no longer the Doris who accepted everything without a word. I was no longer the Doris who made herself small so as not to bother anyone. I was the Doris who had worked 3 jobs, the Doris who had raised her daughter alone, the Doris who had bought this house with her own effort. The next day, Tuesday morning, I waited for everyone to leave. Tyrone left first at 7 o'clock. Patricia took Sophia to school at 8 o'clock. The house was empty and silent. I took my metal box out of the closet. All the important documents were there. The house deed, my birth certificate, the bank papers, all in order, all carefully guarded over the years. The house deed clearly stated, Doris Thames, principal owner. Below, added years later, Patricia Hayes, co-owner. I called a number Esther had given me. It was a lawyer, the son of a friend of hers. His name was Andrew Peterson. Good afternoon, Mrs. Thames. My mother told me about your situation. How can I help you? I explained everything. The humiliations, the nursing home plan, how they treated me in my own house. He listened without interrupting. Ma'am, you have every legal right to make changes regarding your property. As the principal owner, you can make decisions that affect the use of the house. Are you sure about what you want to do? More certain than I've been in a long time, attorney. Very well. I will prepare the documents. Everything will be ready in 1 week. I hung up the phone with my hands trembling. Not from fear, but from something I hadn't felt in years. Power, control over my own life. The next few days I moved through my own house like a ghost. I did everything as usual. I cooked, cleaned, and smiled when necessary, but inside, something had changed. Their contempt didn't hurt in the same way. I no longer felt small when Brenda came over for lunch and treated me like a servant. Patricia noticed something was different. On Wednesday, while I was doing the dishes after lunch, she approached me. Mom, are you okay? You seem strange. I'm fine, baby, just tired. Have you thought about what we told you about the facility? Brenda can take us to see it this Saturday. I kept washing the dishes without turning around. We'll see, Patricia. We'll see. She left annoyed, muttering something I didn't catch, but it didn't matter anymore. For the first time in a long time, I didn't care what she thought. On Thursday afternoon, Andrew called me. Mrs. Thames, the documents are ready. You can come to my office tomorrow. I'll be there, attorney. That night, Sophia came to my room after doing her homework. She sat on my bed with a sad look. Grandma, is it true that you're going to move somewhere else? It broke my heart to see her little eyes full of tears. Come here, my life. I hugged her tight, feeling her small body tremble. No matter what happens, I will always be here for you. Maybe not in this house, but always in your heart and in your life. But I don't want you to leave. I love you so much, Grandma. You're the only one who really listens to me. And you are my reason for keeping on, sweetie. Never forget that. I rocked her until she calmed down. When she left for her room, I stared at the ceiling, thinking about everything that was about to happen. On Friday morning, I got dressed with care. I put on my blue dress, the one I saved for special occasions. I did my hair neatly. I put on my silver earrings. I left the house before anyone woke up, leaving a note in the kitchen. Went out early. Have things to do, Doris. Andrew's office was downtown, in an old but well-maintained building. His secretary greeted me with a kind smile. She's waiting for you, Mrs. Thames. Please come in. Andrew was a man in his 40s with glasses and a tie. He welcomed me with respect, offering me coffee and cookies. Mrs. Thames, here are all the documents. I reviewed them very carefully. As the principal owner, you have the right to request that the co-owners vacate the property if there are justified grounds. In your case, the humiliations and psychological mistreatment constitute more than sufficient grounds. He explained everything to me patiently, point by point. My rights, the steps they would take, what to expect. "How long do they have to leave?" I asked, feeling my voice tremble slightly. "The document gives them 30 days to vacate the property. That's enough time for them to find another place." 30 days, 1 month. I took a deep breath. "And my grandbaby?" "Your granddaughter is a minor. She goes with her parents, but you can request a visitation schedule. You won't lose contact with her." I signed the documents with a firm hand. Each signature was a step toward my freedom. Each signature was regaining my dignity. "The documents will be delivered tomorrow afternoon directly to your daughter and son-in-law. An official process server will go to the house." "Thank you, attorney. Truly, thank you." "You don't have to thank me, Mrs. Thames. You are doing the right thing. No one deserves to be mistreated in their own home." I walked back home slowly. It was mid-afternoon, and the sun was warm. I stopped at a church along the way. I went in and sat on a back pew. "Dear Lord, give me strength for what is coming. Protect Sophia. Help Patricia understand someday why I did this. And give me peace, Lord, give me peace." When I arrived home, everyone was there. Patricia, Tyrone, Brenda, and Sophia were sitting in the living room talking animatedly about something. "Mom, where were you?" Patricia stood up. "We've been calling you all afternoon." "I went out to take care of some things." "What things?" Tyrone looked at me with that suspicion he could never quite hide. "My own." I went into the kitchen to prepare dinner. Brenda followed me. "Doris, tomorrow we are going to see the facility. We agreed on 10 o'clock in the morning. You need to be ready." I turned to look at her. That woman who had never respected me, who had always treated me as less. "I am not going to any facility, Brenda." "What do you mean, no? Everything is all set. You can't be so stubborn." "This is my house, and I'm staying here." She huffed angrily and went back to the living room. I heard them whispering, surely talking about how difficult and obstinate I was. I ate dinner with them in silence that night. Sophia looked at me worriedly. Patricia and Tyrone avoided my eyes. Brenda kept talking nonstop about the wonders of the facility, as if I weren't even there. When everyone went to bed, I stayed alone in the kitchen doing the dishes. I looked out the window at the small backyard garden. There was a rose bush that I planted when Patricia was a baby. It was still blooming after all these years. "Tomorrow, everything changes," I told myself softly. "Tomorrow, my new life begins." And for the first time in a long time, I slept peacefully, without nightmares, without anxiety, because I knew I had made the right decision. The next day, Saturday afternoon, the moment arrived. I was in my room when I heard the doorbell, then voices at the door, and then shouting. "What is this? Mom! Mom, come down right now!" It was Patricia's voice, full of rage and panic. I walked down the stairs slowly. In the living room, Patricia and Tyrone stood holding some papers, their faces red with anger. The process server had already left. "What does this mean?" Patricia showed me the documents, trembling. "You're kicking us out of the house." "I am exercising my rights as the principal owner of this property." Tyrone approached, threateningly. "This is abuse. You can't do this." "I can, and I am doing it. You have 30 days to find another place." Patricia collapsed onto the sofa, crying. "I can't believe it. My own mother, after everything we did for you." Everything they did for me. I had to take a deep breath not to scream. "Everything you did for me? Humiliating me, treating me like a servant, planning to put me in a home without even consulting me. That's all you did for me." "We gave you a roof over your head, food," Tyrone yelled. "This house is mine. I buy the food with my Social Security check. I gave you a roof over your heads, and you repaid me with contempt." The silence that followed was long and heavy. Sophia appeared on the stairs, her eyes full of tears. "Grandma, come here, my love." I hugged her tight as Patricia and Tyrone glared at us with hatred. "This is not going to stand," Tyrone threatened. "We're going to fight this legally. Go right ahead. Attorney Andrew Peterson will be waiting for your call." That night, the house was filled with yelling, slamming doors, and tears. But I stood firm because after 68 years of giving everything for others, I was finally choosing to give something to myself, dignity. The days that followed were the most painful of my life. Patricia barely looked at me during meals. She ate in silence, scrolling on her phone, as if I didn't even exist. Tyrone walked past me in the hallway as if I were invisible, without a good morning or good night. And Brenda, who used to come over for lunch every day, now arrived even more frequently, only to make me feel worse. "Doris, fetch me some water. Doris, the food is bland again. Doris, don't you have anything better to do with your life besides standing there in the way?" I didn't answer. I had promised myself to stay calm, to maintain my dignity, but every word caused an immense sadness that I kept inside like a painful secret. One morning, while cleaning the living room, I found an old box under the sofa. I recognized it immediately. It was the box where I kept photos of Patricia when she was a little girl. I opened it with trembling hands, and the memories flooded me like a wave. There was Patricia at 2 years old, in her floral dress that was too big because I had bought it at the thrift store, thinking it would last longer. There she was at 5 on her first day of kindergarten, with the braids I did for her every morning before the sun came up so I could go to work. There she was at 8, losing her first tooth, smiling so wide you could see all the others. I sat on the living room floor, surrounded by photos, and cried. I cried for that little girl who loved me. I cried for the years I spent working to give her everything. I cried for the woman she had become, so different from the daughter I had raised. I remembered when she was 7 and got pneumonia. It was January, very cold, and we didn't have heat in our apartment. I slept embracing her every night to keep her warm. I worked days cleaning for a wealthy family and nights sewing clothes to sell. I used that money to pay for the medicine. I remember spending 3 days straight without sleeping, watching over her, praying for her to get better. When the fever finally broke and she opened her eyes and smiled, saying, "Mommy," I felt that all the tiredness in the world had been worth it. I promised her I would always take care of her, that I would always be there for her. Now that promise felt like a burden that only I had carried. I put the photos back in the box and carried it to my room. I couldn't keep looking at them every day. It broke me inside every time I saw those images of happiness that seemed like another life. That afternoon, when Patricia came home from work, she had a scowl on her face. Brenda came with her. They both came into the house talking in low voices, but loud enough for me to hear from the kitchen. "I can't believe your mother did this to us," Brenda said. "After everything you've done for her, giving her a home, food, care." "I know, Mom, but my mother has always been like this. Dramatic, manipulative. Now she's using the house as a weapon to control us." I squeezed the kitchen towel in my hands until my knuckles hurt. Manipulative? Me, the woman who had given everything without asking for anything in return? "You should fight this legally," Brenda continued. "Tyrone has rights. You've lived here 15 years. That has to count for something. We already spoke to a lawyer. He says since she's the principal owner and we're just co-owners, she has the right to ask us to leave, but we're looking at other options." I peered through the kitchen door. "What options?" Both immediately fell silent with those guilty looks I knew so well. Patricia cleared her throat. "Mom, we need to talk." "I'm listening." "Look, I know you're upset, and maybe we made mistakes too, but what you're doing is too much. Kicking us out of the house where we've lived for 15 years, where Sophia grew up. It's cruel, Mom. Cruel." I felt something break inside me. Cruel like planning to put me in a home without asking me? Cruel like calling me an old woman who only causes problems? Cruel like treating me like a servant in my own house? "We never treated you like a servant," Patricia shouted. "No? Then what was it? When was the last time you thanked me for making a meal? When was the last time you asked me how I was feeling? When was the last time you treated me like your mother and not like an inconvenience?" Brenda jumped into the conversation. "Doris, don't be so dramatic. Young people are like that now. They're busy. They have a lot of pressure. You can't expect them to be waiting on you all the time." I don't expect them to be waiting on me all the time, Brenda. I just expect a minimum of respect, something no one in this house seems to know how to give." Patricia slammed the door as she went to her room. Brenda shot me a venomous look before following her. I was left alone in the living room, trembling with anger and sadness. That night, Sophia came down to my room after everyone fell asleep. She tapped gently on the door. "Grandma, can I come in?" "Of course, my life. Come here." She came in with her eyes swollen from crying. She sat on my bed and hugged me tightly. "Grandma, my mom says we have to leave the house. She says it's your fault. Why are you doing this?" It broke my heart to see my grandbaby like that. I sat her on my lap, like when she was smaller, and stroked her hair. "My love, sometimes adults have to make difficult decisions. Decisions that hurt, but are necessary. But I don't want to leave. This is my house, my room, my things. My memories are here." "I know, sweetie. And believe me, this hurts me more than anyone. But your mom and dad have made me feel like I am not welcome here, and no one should live in a place where they are not wanted. But I want you here, Grandma. I love you so much. And I love you, my love, more than anything in the world. And that will never change. Wherever you live, I will always be here for you, always." I rocked her until she fell asleep in my arms. Then I carried her to her room, just like when she was a baby. I tucked her in carefully and kissed her on the forehead. "Forgive me, my child," I whispered. "Forgive me for not being able to protect you from all of this." The following days were like living in a war zone. Patricia and Tyrone wouldn't speak to me. When they had to say something, they did it through Sophia or simply left notes in the kitchen. "Doris, we're out of milk. Send someone to get some." "Doris, Sophia's clothes need ironing for tomorrow." "Doris, we won't be having dinner here tonight." The notes were cold. No please, no thank you, as if I were a hired employee and not the owner of the house. One afternoon, while I was ironing clothes in the backyard, my friend Esther came to visit me. She looked worried. "Doris, I heard everything. How are you holding up?" I shrugged without stopping the ironing. "Surviving, friend, that's all." "Have they found a new place yet?" "I don't know. They don't talk to me. They just leave notes." Esther sat in a plastic chair next to me. "Are you sure about this, Doris? You can still back out." I put the iron down on the board and turned to face her. "Esther, I've been feeling like trash in my own home for 2 years. 2 years of listening to them complain about me, of planning to get rid of me. Do you think I can keep living like that?" "No, of course not. But I don't want to see you suffer either." "I'm already suffering, friend. The difference is that now I'm doing something about it." We stayed silent for a long time. Esther helped me finish folding the laundry. It was a moment of peace in the middle of all the storm. "Do you know what hurts the most?" I asked her as I folded a sheet. "It's not that they want me out, it's that they never stop to think about everything I did for them, everything I sacrificed." "Tell me, Doris. Get it off your chest." And then I started to remember, to tell her everything I had kept bottled up inside for so long. When Patricia's father left us, she was 3 years old. I was left with nothing. No money, no job, no family to support me. My mother had already passed away, and my siblings lived far away. I was completely alone with a little girl who depended on me. Esther held my hand, listening in silence. I found a job cleaning house for a family. They paid me $300 a week. It wasn't enough even for the rent of a room, so I took a second job at a diner at night. I would leave one job and go straight to the other. I slept 3 or 4 hours if I was lucky. Oh, Doris. Patricia stayed with the neighbor while I worked. Mrs. Amelia was a kind woman who charged me very little to watch her. But even so, every dollar I earned went to that. Rent, food, clothes for Patricia, Mrs. Amelia. I remembered those years as if it were yesterday. The tiredness that never went away, the hunger I learned to ignore, the nights I cried in silence so Patricia wouldn't hear me. When Patricia turned 6, she started elementary school. She needed supplies, uniforms, books. I didn't have money for all that, so I took a third job on the weekends cleaning an office building. I worked 7 days a week, Esther, 7 days. I don't know how you endured it. For her. Everything was for her. Every time I felt like I couldn't go on, I would see her sleeping so peacefully, and I found the strength to continue. I kept talking. The years passed in my memory like a sad movie. When she started middle school, she wanted to go to a good school, not the one in the neighborhood where there were gangs and trouble. I did my research and found a private school that charged $100 a month. It was an enormous amount of money for me, but I managed it. I worked even harder. I saved every last dime. Patricia didn't even know how much it cost me. She only saw that she could go to that nice school where children from better families than ours studied. Esther handed me a tissue. I hadn't realized I was crying. I never bought new clothes for myself. Everything I wore was secondhand or given to me. But Patricia always had the best I could give her. New shoes whenever she needed them, nice clothes for school dances, brand name supplies, everything. You are an incredible mother, Doris. When she turned 15, she wanted a big party. All her friends had parties with bands, expensive dresses, decorated venues. She wanted one too. I had been saving to buy this house. I had been putting money aside for years, dime by dime, but when I saw her hopeful little face talking about her 15th birthday party, I knew I couldn't tell her no. I paused for a moment, remembering that day with a mix of love and pain. I spent everything I had saved on that party. Everything, Esther. The dress, the venue, the band, the food, the decorations. Patricia was so happy that day. She danced with me and told me, "You're the best mom in the world." It was one of the happiest days of my life. But you lost your savings. I lost my savings, but I saw my daughter happy. At that moment, that's what mattered. I started over from zero. I started saving again. It took me another 10 years to scrape together enough for the down payment on this house. Esther shook her head, her eyes full of tears. And now she treats you like this. Now she treats me like this, I repeated in a tired voice. We continued talking as we finished folding the clothes. I told her more things I had never told anyone. When Patricia met Tyrone, I had my doubts. Something about that boy didn't feel right to me. He was very arrogant, very conceited, but she was in love, and I only wanted to see her happy. Did you tell her about your doubts? I tried to talk to her once. I told her Tyrone seemed a little cold, a little uninterested. She got so angry with me, Esther. She told me I was a bitter old woman who had never been able to rebuild her own life, and that's why I didn't want her to be happy. It hurt so much that I never said anything again. I remembered the wedding, a big, expensive wedding that I also helped pay for. Patricia wanted everything perfect, everything elegant. Tyrone didn't contribute a single dollar, nor did his family. Everything fell on my shoulders. I sold my last pieces of jewelry to help with the wedding. Some gold earrings that belonged to my grandmother. A silver bracelet my mother gave me when I turned 18. I sold them and gave the money to Patricia. She didn't even ask where it came from. She just took it and went on planning her perfect wedding. Doris, you're either too good or too foolish, I said with a bitter laugh. After the wedding, they lived in a rented apartment for 5 years, a small, expensive place. They were always complaining that they didn't have enough money, that they wanted a house of their own. When I finally finished paying for this house, I told them to come live with me. It was big. There was enough space for everyone. Patricia was pregnant with Sophia, and I thought it would be nice to have my daughter and my future grandbaby close by. And Tyrone, what did he say? Tyrone accepted immediately, too quickly, now that I think about it. They didn't pay rent, they didn't pay utilities. I covered everything with my Social Security and the money I made sewing on the side. They only had to pay for their groceries and personal expenses. Esther shook her head. And they still complained. Not at first. The first few years were good. Patricia helped me with the house, we played with Sophia, we were a family. But little by little, things started to change. Tyrone began to treat me differently, as if I were a nuisance. Patricia started doing the same. I told her about the day I decided to also put Patricia's name on the house deed. It was 10 years ago when Sophia was 2. A lawyer advised me not to do it. He told me it was my only property, my only security, but I trusted my daughter. I thought it was fair, that she was my only family, and that when I died, the house would be hers anyway. So I signed the papers. Did Patricia ask you to? Not directly, but one day I heard her talking to Tyrone. They were saying it was unfair that I was the only owner of the house, that they lived there too and deserved rights. I felt bad. I thought maybe they were right. So the next day, I went to the notary and arranged everything so she would also appear as an owner. Did she ever thank you? I remained silent. No, she never thanked me. When I gave her the papers, she just took them and said, "Well, that's right," as if I had owed her that all my life. Things got worse when Brenda came into the equation, I continued. That woman never tolerated me. From the beginning, she treated me with contempt and filled Patricia's head with ideas that I was a nosy mother-in-law, a bitter old woman who wanted to control their lives. Esther knew Brenda well. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her. She was famous for her venomous tongue and her habit of stirring up trouble between families. Brenda started coming over every day. She sat in my living room as if it were her house and treated me like a servant. "Doris, bring me this. Doris, do that." And Patricia never said anything to her. On the contrary, she started treating me the same way. I told her about the family meals that became my torment, sitting at my own table in my own house, being ignored or humiliated, the conversations about trips they planned without including me, the decisions about the house they made without consulting me. One day they decided to change the living room furniture. I came home from Sunday service and found movers carrying out my sofa, the one I had bought with so much effort years ago. I asked Patricia what was happening, and she said, "It was time to update, Mom. This sofa was too old." They didn't ask me. They just did it. And what did you do? Nothing. I swallowed my anger and didn't say anything. As always. I thought maybe they were right, that maybe the sofa was too used, but it hurt, Esther. It hurt that they didn't consider me for something like that. I continued recounting more episodes, each one worse than the last. The time Tyrone yelled that he was sick of supporting the old woman, the time Patricia told her friends in front of me that I was a burden, the time Brenda suggested they put me in a home and everyone laughed as if it were a joke. Do you know what the last straw was? I asked Esther. What? A month ago, Sophia got sick. She had a high fever. Patricia and Tyrone were out at dinner. I stayed up all night taking care of her. I put cold cloths on her, gave her medicine, and sang to her until she fell asleep. In the early morning, when the fever finally dropped, Sophia hugged me and said, "I love you, Grandma. You always take care of me." My voice broke as I remembered it. The next day, when Patricia came home, I told her Sophia had been sick. Do you know what she said to me? She said, "Oh, Mom, don't exaggerate. It was probably just a cold. You always make a drama out of everything." She didn't thank me. She didn't ask me how I spent the night. She just made me feel like I had blown everything out of proportion. Esther hugged me. "It was time for you to do something, Doris. It was time." That night, when everyone returned home, Tyrone handed me a paper. "This is an offer. We buy your share of the house and you move out. That way everyone is happy." I looked at the paper. It was a ridiculous amount, less than half of what my share was worth. This is an insult, Tyrone. "It's what we can pay. Take it or leave it." I ripped the paper into pieces and threw them in his face. "I'm not selling anything. This house is mine, and you are the ones who are going to leave. The deadline is still running. You have 25 days left." Tyrone turned red with rage, but he didn't say anything else. He slammed the door shut, making the whole house shake. I couldn't sleep that night. I stayed awake thinking about everything, the years of sacrifice, the love I gave without measure, the ingratitude I received in return, and for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel bad. I felt free from the burden of being the perfect mother who endures everything, free from the need to please everyone but myself. I stood in front of the mirror in my room. I looked at the woman looking back at me. She was 68 years old, wrinkles on her face, gray in her hair, hands tired from so much work. But in her eyes, I saw something new, something I hadn't seen in a long time. I saw strength. I saw determination. I saw a woman who had finally decided to fight for herself. "We're going to be all right," I told my reflection. "Everything is going to be all right." And for the first time in 2 years, I believed it. I woke up with a mental clarity I hadn't felt in years. It was Tuesday. 23 days remained before the deadline. While preparing breakfast, I realized something important. My hands weren't trembling anymore. I no longer felt that knot in my stomach every time I heard their voices. Something inside me had changed definitively. Patricia came down for breakfast with a frown. She poured herself coffee without a word and sat down as far away from me as possible. Tyrone didn't even come down. He went straight to work without saying goodbye. Only Sophia gave me a good morning with her soft voice. "Good morning, Grandma. Did you sleep well?" "Very well, my love. Do you want chocolate chip pancakes?" "Yes." Patricia shot me a poisoned look but didn't say anything. I prepared Sophia's pancakes with all the love in the world, decorating them with syrup and strawberries just the way she liked them. The girl smiled, and that was enough to fill my heart. When everyone left, I began my plan. It wasn't a plan for revenge. It was a plan for survival, for reclaiming my life. First, I called the bank. I spoke with the manager, Mr. Sanchez, who had known me for years. "Mrs. Thames, how can I help you?" "Mr. Sanchez, I need to review all the accounts I have there, and I need to make some important changes." "Of course, you can come in this afternoon. I'll be there." Then I called the electric company. For years the bills had come in my name, but Tyrone paid them, or so he said. I wanted to verify that they were actually paid. "Good afternoon. I'm calling to check the status of my account." The woman on the other side checked her system. "Mrs. Thames, I see you have an outstanding balance for 4 months. My world stopped. 4 months? But Tyrone said he was paying. "We haven't received any payment since March, ma'am." March. 4 months had passed without the electricity bill being paid. Tyrone had lied to me all this time. He had been taking the money I gave him for the utilities and spending it on who knows what right in front of my face. "What is the total amount?" "It's $327, ma'am." It was a lot of money, but I had to pay it, or the service would be cut off. "I'm coming to pay today." "Thank you." I hung up and took a deep breath. The rage I felt was so great that I struggled to stay calm, but I couldn't explode. No, I still had to be smart. I called the water service. Same story. 2 months overdue, $150. I called the gas company. 1 month overdue, $80. In total, Tyrone had failed to pay $557 in utilities. Money that I had specifically given him for that. Money that he had used for who knows what while looking me in the face. I changed my clothes, grabbed my purse, and left the house. I had a lot to do and little time. First stop, the bank. Mr. Sanchez received me in his office with a kind smile. "Mrs. Thames, tell me what you need." I explained the situation, everything. The mistreatment, the plans to put me in a home, the debts I had just discovered. "Mr. Sanchez, I need to know exactly how much money I have and where it is, and I need to protect it." We reviewed all my accounts. My Social Security check was deposited into a savings account every month. I had saved up $72,000. It was all I had in the world besides the house. "Mrs. Thames, does anyone else have access to this account?" "No, just me." "Perfect. We're going to make some changes for greater security. First, we're going to change all your passwords and PINs. Second, we're going to set up alerts so you receive a text message every time there's a transaction in your account. And third, I recommend you request a new debit card." We made all the changes. Mr. Sanchez was very patient, explaining everything step by step. When we finished, I felt safer. "One last thing, Mr. Sanchez. My Social Security goes directly into this account, right?" "That's right. And if someone wanted to change that, what would they need? They would need your signature and official identification. Without that, no one can make changes." "Perfect. Thank you very much." "My pleasure to serve you, Mrs. Thames. And if you need anything at all, don't hesitate to call me." I left the bank feeling stronger. My money was safe. No one could touch it. Second stop, paying the utilities. I went to the electric company office first. The line was long, but it was worth it. I paid the $327 and asked that all future bills come only in my name and that notifications be sent to my cell phone. "Ma'am, are you sure? The service is in your name, but I see another number registered for notifications." "Delete that number, only mine." "As you wish." I did the same at the water office and paid the gas bill over the phone. In total, I spent $557. It hurt to see that money go, but it was necessary. Besides, now I had total control over the utilities. Third stop? The market. I needed to think, and the market always relaxed me. I walked among the stalls, greeting the vendors who had known me for years. "Doris, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while," said Mr. Jenkins, the vegetable man. "I'm fine, Mr. Jenkins, just busy." "You look different, though. Lighter, how should I put it? Like a weight has been lifted." His comment surprised me. "Lighter?" "Yes, like you've shed a burden. Your face is glowing differently." I smiled. Mr. Jenkins was right. I felt different. I felt more like myself. I bought some fresh vegetables and kept walking. I stopped at Mrs. Betty's stall where they sold prepared soul food. "Mrs. Doris, what can I get for you today?" "A plate of smothered pork chops and rice, please. To go." While waiting for my order, I sat on one of the market benches. I watched people pass by, families shopping together, ladies haggling over prices, children running between the stalls. Normal life, simple life. How long had it been since I sat like this, calmly, just observing? Years, maybe decades. I'd always been rushing, working, worrying about others. "Your food, Mrs. Doris." "Thank you, Mrs. Betty." I returned home around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The house was empty and silent. I served the pork chops and rice on my favorite plate, the one with the blue flowers, and sat down to eat slowly, savoring every bite. After eating, I went up to my room and took out an old notebook that I had bought years ago and never used. It was time to make a list of everything I had to do in the next 23 days. I wrote, "Talk to Attorney Andrew about the next steps. Separate my belongings from theirs. Decide what to do with the furniture and household items. Find a locksmith to change the locks when they leave. Talk to Sophia and explain everything calmly. Prepare the house for living alone. Create a monthly expense budget. Contact my friends from the prayer group." I looked at the list. It was a lot, but it was manageable. And most importantly, it was my list, my decisions, my life. I called Attorney Andrew. He answered on the second ring. "Mrs. Thames, good afternoon. How is everything going?" "Well, Attorney, I have a few questions." "Of course. Tell me, what happens if they don't leave in 30 days?" "Then we initiate a legal eviction process. We have all the legal grounds. They are in breach for several reasons. Don't worry, the law is on your side." "And my things?" "I have furniture, appliances, things I bought myself. Everything you can prove you bought with your money is yours. They cannot take it. I recommend you make an inventory with photographs of everything." "Photographs?" "Yes. Take photos of everything that is yours with the date visible. That way, we will have proof if they try to take anything. Understood?" "Understood. Thank you, Attorney." "I'm here to serve you, Mrs. Thames. And remember, you are doing the right thing." I hung up and immediately started taking photographs. I walked through the whole house with my cell phone, taking pictures of everything. The stove I had bought 10 years ago, the refrigerator that cost me months of savings, the washing machine, the living room set that Patricia had changed without my permission, but that I had paid for because I had no choice. The dining room, the bedrooms. Every photo I took was evidence. Evidence that this house and everything in it was the result of my work and effort. When I finished, I had over 200 photos. I saved them all in a special folder on my phone and backed them up by emailing them to myself. It was almost 6 in the evening when I heard the door open. It was Patricia. She was alone. "Mom, are you here?" In the kitchen. She came in with a serious face, sat on one of the chairs, and looked at me fixedly. "Mom, we need to talk." "I'm listening." "This is going too far. Tyrone is very stressed. Sophia is sad all the time, and I don't know what to do." For a moment, I saw something in her eyes. Was it regret? Pain? I wasn't sure. Patricia, I didn't want things to come to this either. But you left me no choice. Mom, we never meant to hurt you. I put down the kitchen towel I was folding. Then what was it? Planning to put me in a home? Treating me like a servant? Lying to me about paying the utilities? She went pale. How did you find out about the utilities? Because I went and paid them. 4 months of electricity, 2 of water, 1 of gas, $557 that I gave Tyrone, and he didn't pay. What did he spend that money on, Patricia? She lowered her gaze, ashamed. I don't know, Mom. I really don't know. Tyrone handles all the money. Well, you should know. It's your family. It's your responsibility. She was silent for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was softer, more vulnerable. Mom, are you really going to kick us out? Is there no way to fix this? I felt something move in my chest. This was my daughter, my only daughter, the girl I had carried in my arms, who I had nursed when she was sick, who I had raised with so much love. But she was also the woman who had humiliated me, who had treated me like trash, who had planned to get rid of me without remorse. Patricia, do you think I deserve respect? Of course I do, Mom. Then why didn't you give it to me? Why did you let Tyrone treat me badly? Why did you let your mother-in-law humiliate me in my own house? Why did you never defend me? I don't know, Mom. I guess I let myself be influenced. Tyrone can be very convincing, his mother too, and I was tired, stressed. I didn't think. You didn't think about me. That's what happened. You never think about me. Tears began to roll down her cheeks. I'm sorry, Mom. I really am sorry. It was the first time in 2 years that I had heard her apologize, but something in me could no longer accept it so easily. Apologies without changed behavior meant nothing. Patricia, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to listen to me carefully. I love you. You are my daughter, and you will always be my daughter. But loving doesn't mean letting myself be trampled. Loving doesn't mean accepting mistreatment. And loving doesn't mean sacrificing my dignity to keep the peace. Mom, I'm not finished. All my life, I have put others first. You, your needs, your happiness. And I don't regret any of it. But there came a point when I lost sight of the fact that I matter too, that I also deserve respect, love, and consideration. She cried silently, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. The next 23 days are going to be difficult, I continued. But they are necessary. I need you to understand that you cannot treat me like this, and you need to understand that being my daughter does not give you the right to disrespect me. And after the 23 days, what will happen to us? I don't know, baby. Honestly, I don't know. It depends on you, on how you use this time, on whether you truly understand what you did wrong. Patricia stood up from the chair, trembling. I'm going to talk to Tyrone. I'm going to try to make him understand. Do what you have to do, but the deadline doesn't change. She left the kitchen with her shoulders slumped. I heard her climbing the stairs slowly. Part of me wanted to run after her, hug her, tell her everything would be okay, but I stayed where I was because not everything was okay, and I couldn't keep pretending that it was. That night, Tyrone arrived later than usual. I heard raised voices in their bedroom. They were arguing. I couldn't hear the exact words, but the tone was clear. They were fighting about me, about the situation, about the uncertain future that awaited them. Sophia came down to my room around 10 o'clock at night. She had her pillow and her teddy bear. Grandma, can I sleep with you? My parents are fighting. Of course, my life. Come on. She slipped into my bed and curled up against me. I stroked her hair until her breathing became slow and deep. Grandma, she whispered, almost asleep. Why are grown-ups so complicated? I smiled in the darkness. Because sometimes we forget how to be simple, my love. We forget that the most important things are love and respect. You love me, Grandma? More than anything in the world, sweetie. More than anything. She fell asleep in my arms. I stayed awake a little longer, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything. The next few days, I established a routine. I got up early, did my chores, went for walks in the park, and started going to the prayer group meetings on Wednesday afternoons. I reconnected with friends I had stopped seeing because I didn't have time. One of those friends was Hope. I had met her at the textile plant where I worked many years ago. We had lost touch when Patricia got married, and I became a grandmother. "Doris, what a miracle! How many years has it been?" "Too many, friend. I missed you." We sat on a park bench and talked for hours. I told her everything. She listened without judgment, without interrupting. "You did the right thing, Doris. The very right thing. I went through something similar years ago with my oldest son. Sometimes children forget who we are, everything we've done for them." "And how did your situation end?" "I had to set strong boundaries, very strong ones. My son got angry. He didn't speak to me for a year, but eventually he understood. Now our relationship is better than ever because it's based on mutual respect, not on obligation. That year of not speaking was the hardest year of my life, but also the most necessary because I learned to live for myself, to be happy without depending on my children's approval." Her words gave me hope. Maybe Patricia and I could rebuild our relationship, but first, I had to destroy the toxic dynamic we had created. The days passed, 23, 22, 21. The atmosphere in the house was tense, but I remained calm. I did my things, took care of Sophia, and avoided conflict. One afternoon, I found Patricia crying in her room. The door was open. I hesitated whether to go in or not. "Mom," she saw me standing in the hallway. "Can you come in?" I sat on the edge of her bed. She wiped her tears. "We haven't found a house, Mom. We've looked at about 20 of them, and none of them are within our budget. They're either too expensive or too far from Tyrone's job or in dangerous neighborhoods. I don't know what we're going to do." For a moment, I felt the impulse to give in, to tell her to stay, to forget all this. But I bit my tongue. "You still have time to look. You'll find something." "And if we don't, are you really going to put us out on the street?" "I'm not putting you out on the street, Patricia. You have options. You can rent a temporary apartment. You can ask Tyrone's family for help. You can look in other areas. There are options." "None as good as this house. This house is mine, and I need my space." She nodded slowly. "I understand, Mom. I really understand now." I didn't know whether to believe her, but I nodded and left her room. That night, while I was preparing dinner, my cell phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Hello, Mrs. Doris Thames?" "Yes, that's me. This is Sarah from the prayer group. I apologize for calling you at this hour." "It's no trouble. Tell me." "I heard about your situation from the sisters in the group, and I wanted to tell you that I'm very proud of you. What you are doing takes great courage." Her call surprised me. "Thank you, Sister Sarah." "And I wanted to offer you something. My husband and I have an extra room in our house. If you ever need a quiet place to think or rest, you are invited. No strings attached, no pressure." My eyes welled up with tears. "You don't know how much that means to me. Thank you very much." "That's what sisters are for, to support each other. God bless you, Mrs. Doris." I hung up, feeling supported. I wasn't alone in this. I had people who supported me, who understood me. 14 days, 13 days, 12 days. The clock kept ticking, and I remained firm in my decision. One morning, 11 days before the deadline, I woke up with a deep sense of peace. It was Saturday. The sun streamed through my window, illuminating the dust particles floating in the air. I got up, took a long bath, put on my favorite dress, and went down for breakfast. At the table were Patricia, Tyrone, and Sophia, all in silence. I poured myself coffee and sat with them. "Good morning." "Good morning, Mom," Patricia replied softly. Tyrone didn't say anything. Sophia smiled at me. "We found a house," Patricia said suddenly. "It's smaller than this one and more expensive, but it's the only thing we could get." "I'm glad you found something. We're moving on Thursday, 4 days before the deadline." I nodded. "Good." Silence returned to the table, but it was a different silence. It wasn't hostile. It was resigned, sad, but resigned. And for the first time in a long time, I felt completely at peace with my decisions. 11 days left to reclaim my house, my space, my life. 11 days left to be myself again. Thursday came faster than I expected. I woke up early, long before the sun came up. I hadn't slept much, not out of nervousness, but out of a mix of emotions that I couldn't name. Relief, sadness, hope, all together, forming a knot in my chest that wasn't painful, just intense. From my window, I watched as the sky painted itself orange and pink. It was a beautiful sunrise, as if God Himself were painting the beginning of my new life. I went down to the kitchen and made coffee. The aroma filled the whole house. It was still early, barely 6 o'clock in the morning, but I heard movement upstairs. They were awake too. At 7 o'clock, the moving truck arrived. It was a big truck, one of those with the company name painted on the sides. 2 young men got out and rang the doorbell. Tyrone opened the door. "Come in. Everything that needs to go is marked with blue tape." Over the next few hours, I watched them take things out of my house. Patricia and Tyrone's king-sized bed, Sophia's desk, boxes and boxes of clothes, shoes, toys, books, the TV from the master bedroom, Patricia's closet, packed to the brim. I stayed in the kitchen, watching everything from a distance. I didn't help load anything. I didn't offer to say goodbye to the furniture. I just watched. Patricia came down the stairs carrying a small box. It was the photo box, the same one I had found weeks earlier. She saw me looking at her. "These are pictures from when I was a little girl," she said softly. "I thought maybe you wanted to keep some." "Keep them all," I replied. "They are your memories. They are your history." She nodded and put the box in her car. Sophia was sitting on the stairs, hugging her teddy bear. Her eyes were red from crying. It broke my heart to see her like that, but I knew this was necessary. Children are resilient. She was going to be all right. I sat next to her on the step. "How are you doing, my life?" "Sad, Grandma. I don't want to leave." "I know, sweetie, but sometimes things have to change, so we can all be better. I'll be able to visit you every weekend you want. This will always be your house, too. The difference is you won't live here anymore." "Do you promise?" "I promise you by the Lord." She hugged me and cried for a little longer. I cried too, but silently, so as not to scare her more. By noon, the truck was almost full. Tyrone supervised everything with a notebook, checking that they hadn't forgotten anything. Brenda had arrived an hour earlier and was sitting in the living room like a queen, giving orders to the movers. "Be careful with that vase. It's very expensive." "Patricia, tell these boys to be more careful." I walked past her on my way to the backyard, and she didn't even look at me, as if I no longer existed. And the truth is, I didn't care. That woman no longer had power over me. In the backyard, I watered my plants, my roses, my geraniums, my basil. I had neglected them in recent weeks, and it showed, but today I had time. Today I had my whole life ahead of me to take care of them. "Mrs. Thames," one of the movers approached me. "Excuse me, is this refrigerator going too?" "No, that refrigerator stays. It's mine." The young man nodded and left. I heard Tyrone protesting from inside. "What do you mean the fridge is staying? We need it." "It's Mom's," I heard Patricia say. "She bought it." "Well, let her sell it to us. We can't arrive at the new house without a refrigerator." "It's not for sale," I said, walking into the living room. "It's mine and it stays here. You can buy your own." Tyrone shot me a look full of hatred, but he didn't say anything else. He knew he had no power here, not anymore. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the truck was ready to go. The movers closed the rear doors and got into the cab. Patricia, Tyrone, and Sophia stood in the living room, surrounded by the last boxes they would take in their car. There was a heavy, uncomfortable silence. No one knew what to say. Brenda was the first to break the silence. "Well, let's go. There's nothing else to do here." She grabbed her purse and walked out of the house without saying goodbye to me, as if these 2 years had never existed. Tyrone followed her, carrying 2 boxes. I was left alone with Patricia and Sophia. "Mom," Patricia approached with tearful eyes. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. But I want I want you to know that I'm sorry, truly sorry. I'm sorry I treated you badly. I'm sorry I didn't value you. I'm sorry for everything." Her words sounded sincere, but I had heard apologies before. What mattered now were actions, not words. "Patricia, I forgive you. I told you that already. But forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean everything goes back to the way it was before." "I know, Mom. I know." Sophia clung to my waist. "Grandma, I'm going to miss you so much." I bent down to her height. I wiped her tears with my hands. "And I'll miss you, my love. But we'll see each other very soon. You can come have breakfast with me on Saturday, all right?" "Really? Really?" I kissed her on the forehead and hugged her tight. She smelled like baby soap and cookies. My grandbaby, my treasure. Patricia leaned in and kissed me on the cheek. "Thank you for everything, Mom. For raising me, for giving me everything, for being my mother, even though I haven't been a good daughter. You were a good daughter for many years, Patricia. What happened afterward? Well, let's hope this serves as a lesson for all of us." She nodded and took Sophia's hand. "Let's go, my life. Your dad is waiting." I watched them walk out the door. Patricia looked back one last time before closing it. She looked at me with those eyes that I knew so well, the same eyes she had as a child when she was afraid of the dark. "Goodbye, Mom." "Goodbye, baby." The door closed. The silence that followed was absolute. It wasn't a sad silence. It was a silence full of possibilities, freedom, and peace. I walked through the house. The living room looked bigger without so much furniture. The master bedroom was empty. Only my twin bed remained, the one that had always been there. Sophia's room no longer had her toys or her drawings on the walls, but it was my house, completely mine. I sat on the living room sofa, the same one where I had sat so many times, feeling invisible. Now I felt the opposite. I felt present. I felt alive. I cried. I cried for everything I had lost, for the relationship with my daughter that would have to be rebuilt from scratch, for the moments with my grandbaby that would be different now. I cried for the years I spent feeling small in my own house. But I also cried with relief, with freedom, with the knowledge that I had had the courage to choose myself. The phone rang. It was Esther. "Friend, how are you? Did they leave?" "They left, Esther. And how do you feel?" "Strange, like a huge weight has been lifted, but at the same time, like something is missing." "That's normal? Do you want me to come over?" "No, friend, thank you. I need to be alone for a while. I need to get used to my new life." "I understand, but if you need me, call me any time." "Thanks, Esther, really." I hung up and kept sitting on the sofa. Outside, the sun was beginning to set, and the shadows were lengthening in the backyard. It would be night soon. I got up and went to the kitchen. I opened the refrigerator. It was almost empty. There were only some vegetables, eggs, and milk. Tomorrow I would go to the market to stock it up properly, to buy only what I liked, to fill my house with my favorite food. I prepared a simple cheese sandwich, bread, cheese, a little pepper. I sat down to eat it at the kitchen table. That table where I had served thousands of meals for my family was now only for me. And for the first time in years, that didn't make me feel lonely. It made me feel free. That night, I slept profoundly, without nightmares, without anxiety, just the peaceful sleep of someone who has finally found peace. The next day, Friday, I woke up with the sun streaming through my window. It was my first day completely alone in the house. I stretched in bed, taking my time. There was no rush. No one was waiting for breakfast. There were no clothes that urgently needed washing. There was no yelling or complaining, just silence. Blessed silence. I got up slowly, took a long shower, put on comfortable clothes, and went down for breakfast. I turned on the radio, a station that played music from my era, soul, R&B ballads, songs that reminded me of my youth. I prepared scrambled eggs with bacon, refried beans, and warm tortillas, all for me. I served myself and ate slowly, enjoying every bite. After breakfast, I called a locksmith. Attorney Andrew had recommended I change all the locks on the house for security. "Good morning. Do you change locks?" "Yes, ma'am. When do you need it?" "Can you do it today?" "Let me check. Yes, I can be there around 3 o'clock this afternoon." "Perfect. I'll wait for you." I also called a painter. The walls of the house needed a fresh coat of paint. I needed to renovate everything to make this space feel new again. At 3 o'clock, the locksmith arrived, an older gentleman with a large mustache and strong hands. "Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm here about the locks." "Come in. There are 3 doors, the main one, the back one, and my room." He worked for 2 hours. When he finished, he handed me 6 new keys, 3 for each lock. "Here you go, ma'am. No one but you can enter now." I paid him, and he left. I stood looking at the keys in my hand. They were small, but they meant everything. They meant this house was mine and no one else's. On Saturday morning, as I had promised, Sophia came to visit me. Patricia dropped her off at the door and left without getting out of the car. She didn't honk or say goodbye. She just left the girl and drove away. Sophia ran into my arms. "My life, how are you?" "Good. The new house is weird, small, but my parents say we'll get used to it." "Of course you will. It's just a matter of time." We spent the whole morning together. We made chocolate chip cookies, we watched a movie, we played bingo, we laughed a lot. When Patricia came back for her at noon, Sophia was happy. "Grandma, can I come again next week?" "Every week you want, my love." Patricia rolled down the car window. "Thanks for watching her, Mom." "I'm not watching her. I'm enjoying my grandbaby." There was an awkward moment of silence. "Mom, Can we talk sometime? Just you and me." "When you're ready, Patricia. When you're truly ready." She nodded and drove away. The days kept passing. Weeks, 1 month, 2 months. My life found a new rhythm. I woke up when I wanted. I cooked what I wanted. I watched television without anyone complaining. I invited my friends over for coffee. I went to church every Sunday. I took care of my garden, and every Saturday without fail, Sophia came to visit me. Patricia and I talked sometimes on the phone, short, superficial conversations, asking about health, commenting on the weather. Nothing deep yet, but it was fine because I had learned something important, that love doesn't have to hurt, that family relationships must be built on respect, not on obligation. One afternoon, 3 months after they left, Patricia called me. "Mom, can we meet? I want to talk to you." "Sure. Here at the house?" "Yes, if it doesn't bother you." "It doesn't bother me." The next day, Patricia arrived alone. No Tyrone, no Sophia, just her. We sat in the living room with coffee and cookies. "Mom, I want you to know something. Tyrone and I are in couples therapy." I was surprised. "Seriously?" "Yes. All of this, everything that happened, made us realize many things. How badly we treated the people we love, how we let his mother manipulate us, how we distanced ourselves from what really matters. I'm glad you're working on that. And I also started individual therapy to work on myself, on why I allowed things to go so far with you." I felt something soften in my chest. "Patricia, that speaks highly of you." "I know I can't erase what happened. I know I hurt you, a lot. And I know we're going to need time to rebuild our relationship. But I want to try, Mom. I really want to try." I looked into her eyes. She was no longer the arrogant, cold woman of months ago. She was someone different, someone more humble, more aware. "I want to try too, baby, but it has to be different this time." "I know, and it will be. I promise you." I don't know if I fully believed her, but I gave her the benefit of the doubt because that's what mothers do. They love, they forgive, they give second chances, but now with boundaries, with dignity, with mutual respect. And that made all the difference. 6 months have passed since that Thursday that changed everything. 6 months since I reclaimed my house, my space, my life. And today I can say with all honesty that it was the best decision I've ever made. I wake up when I want. I prepare my coffee slowly, enjoying every step. I sit at my table, which now has only one chair, mine, and read the newspaper while I have breakfast. The house is quieter now, but it's not the sad silence of loneliness. It's the peaceful silence of peace. My days have a new routine that I deeply enjoy. On Mondays, I go to the market. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go to the knitting class at the community center. On Wednesdays, I go to the prayer group. On Fridays, I do whatever I feel like, and on Saturdays without fail, Sophia comes to visit me. Those are my favorite days. Patricia drops her off and picks her up. Every time she comes, we greet each other with more warmth. There's not so much tension anymore. Slowly, we are healing. 2 weeks ago, Patricia came over for coffee with me. Alone. She told me that things in her marriage are improving, that therapy is helping them, and she told me something that surprised me. "Mom, I've cut contact with Brenda. I realized how much poison she put into my head." I felt proud of my daughter. She was growing. She was maturing. "Mom, I know we still have a long way to go, but every day I work on being a better person, a better daughter, a better mom for Sophia." I took her hands. "You're doing well, baby, and I'm proud of you." We cried together that day, but they were tears of healing, hope, and love being rebuilt. This morning, after watering the roses, I sat in my favorite backyard chair. I closed my eyes and felt the warm sun on my face. I heard the birds singing, and I felt complete. Not because I have everything, but because I finally have myself. My relationship with Patricia isn't perfect. Maybe it never will be, but it's real, it's honest, and it's based on mutual respect. Sophia is still my light. Every Saturday I spend with her is a gift. My house no longer feels big and empty. It feels like the perfect size. I have filled it with things that make me happy. Plants, photos of beautiful moments, books, knitting projects. Choosing myself saved my life. And I don't regret a thing. Tomorrow is Saturday. Sophia is coming over. We are going to make chocolate chip cookies, and when Patricia comes to pick her up, maybe we'll stay and talk a little longer, or maybe we won't, and that's okay because I no longer need things to be perfect. I just need them to be real. I am 68 years old. I have lived a lot. I have suffered a lot. I have loved a lot, and I still have a lot of life ahead of me, a life that I will live on my own terms, with my dignity intact and my peace recovered. I look out the window at my garden. The roses are blooming beautifully, and I think, that's what my life is like now, blooming, growing, beautiful. Sometimes the biggest beginning is the silence one chooses to keep. Did you like my story, and which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.